Welcome back to the Late Night News. Poaching allies is almost the norm in Tamil Nadu politics, but of late, the ruling DMK seems to be eyeing MLAs from the AIA-DMK camp. Act 1 in this drama is now quite predictable. The MLA calls on party bigwigs to submit a memorandum seeking facilities for their constituency. Amma is perhaps justifiably infuriated. Then comes the expulsion. Our reporter Ramanathan brings you the latest switch from Poise Garden to Gopalapuram.
The official reasons were to discuss issues related to the development of his constituency. But when AIA-DMK MLA Rajendran met Chief Minister Karunanidhi and Union Minister A. Raja, speculations were rife that he may be the next defector, following a long list of others. In the past few months, many like Anita Radhakrishnan, Kovilpatti Radhakrishnan and S.V. Shekhar left the AIA-DMK, some joining the DMK. Many say it's high time the party's Supremo Jayalalitha bucks up.
You have to be with the people all the time. You believe in the people, you contest elections. Whether you are, don't be afraid of defeat. But you are not contesting election. What kind of hope you are holding out for your cadre or for the people? You should be seen as it should be seen as a strong opposition party, politically and organizationally.
But political analysts also feel that this trend being encouraged by the DMK points to the desperation in the party.
Very interestingly, it shows the DMK, in my opinion, as a very weak party. It's desperate, some desperation, one thing. And because it highlights the view that it's a minority government.
But the bottom line is clear. Even if the AIA-DMK does not bag electoral victories, the state needs a strong opposition for proper functioning. Ramanathan, Ndtv-Hindu.
To take the Green Chennai campaign to all levels of society, Chennai Corporation has come up with the idea of planting a tree for every child to be born in the city.
Chennai Corporation says planting a tree for every child born in Chennai will transform the landscape of the city. 40,000 children were born in the city in 5 months. In terms of the number, it looks like the tree campaign to make Chennai green will make a big impact.
சென்னை மாநகர எல்லைக்குள் பிறக்கிற எல்லா குழந்தைகளின் எண்ணிக்கை எவ்வளவு பிறக்கிறது என்கின்ற அந்த தகவல் மாநகராட்சியின் சுகாதாரத்துறைக்கு தெரியும். ஏனென்றால் அந்த குழந்தைக்கான பிறப்பு சான்றிதழ் என்பது மாநகராட்சியின் சார்பில் தரப்படுகிறது. எனவே பிறக்கிற ஒவ்வொரு குழந்தைக்கும் அந்தந்த வட்டத்தில் அந்தந்த வார்டு மாநகராட்சி மன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள் தலைமையில் மாதந்தோறும் இது போன்ற நிகழ்வுகள் நடத்தப்பட்டு மரங்கள் என்பது நடப்படும்.
Not just that, the tree will also be named after the child, personalizing the relationship between the two. The corporation campaigners hope this emotional bonding will encourage the child's family to take care of the tree the way they take care of the child.
இது ரொம்ப நல்ல திட்டமா இருக்கு. பாப்பா பேர்ல மரம் வளர்க்கறாங்க. நாங்க டெய்லி வந்து இந்த மரத்தை குழந்தையை பார்த்துருக்க மாதிரி பாப்பாவையும் வந்து பார்த்துக்குவோம்.
மரம் வளர்க்கறது சுற்றுச்சூழலுக்கு ரொம்ப நல்லது. குழந்தை பேர்ல இந்த மரம் நட்டது எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு. குழந்தையை எப்படி வளர்க்குறோமோ அதே மாதிரி இந்த மரத்தையும் நல்லா வளர்ப்போம்.
Though this effort comes at the appropriate time when environmental groups are fighting to save the earth from global warming, the success of the scheme really lies in the hands of the public. In Chennai, with Bartala Nithila for Ndtv-Hindu.
An auto rickshaw driver was stabbed to death by a gang in MKB Nagar. The 25-year-old man was identified as Murugan. He was under police investigations in 10 cases. Ahead of the union budget, Ndtv-Hindu is going to all corners of Chennai to get you what people want. We bring you today's dose of vitamin M from an entrepreneur in the food industry. When it comes to the food industry, it's more than important to get the right spice at the right price. But with the spiraling prices of vegetables and essentials going skyrocketing high, it's been more than a task for entrepreneurs like Lenin here who've entered the food industry. Lenin is the managing director of Pizza Guy Foods Limited, and he's got quite a few wishes on his mind.
Thank you. See, entering the food industry about a year back, the problems that we face due to inflation are quite a task to manage. So there are especially 3 sectors that I have in mind that affects my business. So one of that is the gas and petroleum sector, the agricultural budget for the agriculture sector, and also for the budget on taxes and plans on taxes. So you take the gas and petroleum sector, we people who operate in kiosks, We have shops all over the city, and with a continuous hike in the prices of gas and petroleum, end of the day we will have to start delivering by cycles. So I request when they're planning for the budget and the various plans, they should have a team set up to actually concentrate on getting the prices down for gas and petroleum. Secondly, that I wish to talk about is the agriculture sector. With the increasing prices of tomatoes, onions, maida, it is very hard for business people like me to run a business. And apart from that, India, a lot of people are still under the poverty line. If the essential commodities prices keep increasing, they'll not be able to get a square meal a day also. And third part is obviously the taxes. I do understand the government can operate only if people pay tax, but the direct taxing was planned last union budget. It has not been put into action yet. If that comes through, it will really help everyone in the business field. So my request to the Honourable Minister, if you could take these points into consideration while framing your budget, the expenditure for this year, be very helpful for me, for Pizza Guy and other entrepreneurs. Thank you.
So there you go, Lenin hoping that his toppings do find their way to the minister's table. In Chennai, with camera person Devraj, Evelyn Matthew for Ndtv-Hindu. Well, the Finance Minister has plenty of issues to take into notice in order to come up with an ideal budget plan that meet everyone's expectations. I had a chat on the money matter with the Executive Editor, NDTV Prophet Anjana Menon. Here's what she had to say.
Pranab Mukherjee has a hard task at hand. He has a fiscal deficit, which is 6.8% of GDP. He may have told everyone that, our fiscal deficit is going to remain 6.8% of GDP. It's not going out of whack because the GDP is growing. But in absolute terms, he has a greater hole. So with a finance minister who's faced with this choice where he's got a gaping hole on his fiscal deficit, is he going to really take money out of his wallet and give it away to the common man? I think not. But if you place that against the government's Aam Aadmi agenda, which has been its populist agenda, it's been voted back to power because of that, I think he would try and address a certain segment of the population. So he might give some tax relief to people who really desperately need it, people who feel that sugar at 60 rupees a kilo is completely unaffordable. So it might be people who are in the lower income bracket and are paying some taxes who will see some sort of relief. I doubt it's going to come in for the upper end of.
Okay. Do you believe the agricultural sector is going to be a highlight this session?
Well, it should be. It absolutely has to be, because what we have is, food crisis of sorts. You have 1 billion people. You have the country with the biggest sweet tooth in the world. You have consumption, which is going up and away. Mm-hmm. And what are you going to do to tame food price inflation? So he'll have to do something. And Manmohan Singh the Prime Minister has clearly indicated that farm output needs to go up. So how are you going to incentivize farmers? You'll have to do something and tie that in with your populist agenda and populist schemes. So chances are that he will try and set some money aside for the agriculture sector.
Now, what a lot of people would want to know is about the fuel prices. Do you think that's going to come down anytime?
Well, $1 million question. It's not going to come down anytime, for sure. What people can hope and pray and expect is that it doesn't go up, because, as you know, recently there was the Kirit Parikh report that was filed on fuel prices, and the recommendation is to raise prices across the board because India really can't afford to subsidize fuel. So the big question is, does the government have the stomach for this? Mm-hmm. If it's battling food price inflation, does it have the stomach to increase fuel prices? The plain answer on the face of it is probably a no. But is there a compulsion? Yes. So it might be a small baby step. You might see a little bit of tinkering with fuel prices.
All right. Before we let you go, I've been dying to ask you this question. What about cars? Are they going to be cheaper? Because I have plans in mind. What about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, who doesn't want a car that's going to get cheaper? Unlikely. Mm-hmm. The government did give a stimulus. It did give excise relief when it announced its stimulus package last year. Auto sales are up and away. They're zooming. Mm-hmm. And jobs are being created, salaries are coming back.
Yes.
So is there an incentive to continue with that? No.
Well, up on the other side, we can find out if Srikanth gets lucky this Valentine's Day.
I've been single and ready to mingle for the past 22 years, but still they tell me love is blind. And I'm here to find out how.